Hey everybody, it's Callus, and it is the Callus Invitational 6 fourth place match. You guys know what's on the line here. The loser is out with nothing. A good run, but no cash money. Whereas the winner, given our $2,500+ prize pool, is going to get bare minimum $500. That's the worst they could do, even if they get third, and they could win up to $1,250+ as the prize pool currently sits, should they go on to win the tournament. So they are playing for a minimum of 500 real dollars in this best of three match, potentially up to over $1,250 in this match. So very high stakes here. Do you make money or do you fall just short, as close as you can get? It's Johnnyg2 and it's SoulWind. Huge players here. Johnnyg2 has been one of the best players in the past couple of years in ADV. He's one of the most consistent players. He had a top 6 run last year as well, and here he is with a bare minimum top 4 run. You don't get that far twice in a row. Coincidentally, he's obviously really good. SoulWind, even though he's not known as an ADV guy, is having a career best Callus Invitational this year, and he is one of the very small list of names truly in the discussion for the best competitive Pokemon player ever across all tiers. SoulWind is the GOAT as far as some people are concerned. He's really in the discussion. So, not only to add to the stakes that I've already outlined with the money and all that good stuff, these guys were teammates last year in SPL on the Congregation of the Classiest, and last year they played against each other in this tournament in which Johnny won, and there was a little bit of beef between them, which there's no need to rehash. They did resolve it, but there is history here. There's a lot going on in this matchup, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. Who's going home with nothing and who is fighting for an even bigger share of the prize pool? Best of three, the last best of three of the tournament, mind you. Here is game one. It's Johnny on the bottom and it's SoulWind on the top. Hariyama lead, I think, is a wonderful choice into SoulWind, who is generally a very stally, passive player. Hariyama can be a real bitch for those teams. Not only does it threaten both halves of Skarm Bliss, but Knockoff is a really good move against the kind of teams that SoulWind seems really fond of. And this is a lovely start for Johnny. He's going to knock off the Skarm. It's going to stay in and spike up and be insta-popped by Magneton. So the trade here, since there does not appear to be a Dugtrio follow-up for SoulWind, is going to be the Skarm's life for just one layer of spikes. Good start for Johnny, without a doubt. He gets a T-Bolt off after deciding to stay in, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Depends on what he could have switched. Flamethrower crit may or may not have mattered there. Depends on the EVs for both. But Magneton dies as well, so he trades with Skarm, and there is a lair. We'll see if there's a spinner. The kind of team that Johnny's running often has a Claydol. So he's going to go for Suicune here, and SoulWind, unsurprisingly, has opted for just generic TSS, which he has run for the overwhelming majority of this tournament across all tiers. SoulWind is a stally player, and ADV is no exception. Hariyama comes into an S-Toss here, goes Focus Punch, which SoulWind has the courage to stay in and disrupt with that S-Toss. That was a hell of a play. Johnny could have easily gone for something like Brick Break or Knockoff there and really created problems for the Bliss, but SoulWind reads him like a book and disrupts that. Knockoff happens now, so Zapdos is going to play the rest of this game without lefties. We have seen Protect, so that makes it very likely that it's not going to be a rest Zapdos, so that Knockoff is really devastating, actually. It's possible that Blissey has Wish. We haven't seen that one way or another yet, so maybe the Zapdos has a way to heal. But Protect Zapdos with Sand without lefties. Man, Protect is pretty damn underwhelming now. You just take Sand damage and not much else. I guess you could still like scout out CB moves, but eh. Hariyama comes in and gets low to the S-Toss, but not low enough to prevent it from receiving that Wish and get back up to a healthy 56%. Here comes Flygon, and Johnny opts for the immediate Brick Break. That's going to do a decent chunk at 30%, and we do know the full Hariyama set now. Rock Slide, Knockoff, Focus Punch, Brick Break. Earthquake from the Flygon into the incoming Suicune. This would be such a good opportunity to get a Claydol in if Johnny has it. Here's Zapdos. That's not what he goes for. He's going to rest just in case SoulWind stays in and goes for Earthquake again. I think Claydol, though, would have covered both Earthquake and Zapdos, so I think that is a missed opportunity to get it in if he has that, which, given the structure, I suspect that he may. Nevertheless, we end up with the Bliss on the T-Tar that we know is at least partially special. But here's meta just in case it's not fully special, and that turns out to be wise. There actually is a Brick Break in the back. And meta's got lefties for Johnny. Here comes Zapdos, which doesn't have lefties, and it's going to eat a mash on the way in. 30%, decent chunk, and of course, a little more from the sand. I don't know about letting the Metagross take Thunderbolt here. Just look at the board. It's just such a big threat. Flygon doesn't switch into it. Blissey really has a hard time. Tar has a hard time. Man, I don't know about giving up the meta here. That really feels like a mistake from Johnny. Furthermore, just pausing for a second, not only would I not have given up the meta because it, I think, is really good against the T-Tar, the Bliss, and the Flygon. None of those things switch into a Meteor Mash, and Zapdos can't stay in forever and will eventually get worn down. But the other thing is, like, what the fuck is its move pool? Like, it has lefties, right? So it doesn't have a Pinch Berry, it doesn't have a Lum. If it were Agiligross, rather, it clearly should have gone for Agility first and then attacked. It would have worked out the same, only he wouldn't eat the second Thunderbolt, which is pretty important. And if he's Protect meta, he clearly should have done that, because it's just free damage on the Zapdos. If he's for Attack meta, you Rock Slide rather than Mash. I don't know what the set was for the meta, but it just felt like an oddly played sequence there. It felt like there had to be something better to do. And again, I go back to, isn't the last poke just a Claydol for Johnny? Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess he's relying, even then, I mean, don't you just go to Bliss, though? Like, instead of giving up the meta, don't you just go to Blissey, eat a T-Bolt, and then just soft-boiled on the following turn? I don't want to pause too much, but I really question giving up the Metagross here. I'm going to go ahead and resume, but I feel like the meta was a huge threat in this matchup, and I don't know that I agree with Johnny's decision to give it up there. Nevertheless, Gengar is the last poke for SoulWind, and it is just going to go for T-Bolt. There's a great opportunity here for a move like Focus Punch, Taunt, Explosion, to do a lot of bad things to Bliss here. And it is Taunt, which is going to block a Soft Boiled. Not a good turn for Johnny. Blissey in some trouble now. Gengar seems like a tough poke given Johnny's board state. There's T-Tar and Hariyama. Sure. Johnny gets a little bit of tempo back here. He should be able to survive any non-crit from Tyranitar here. Here comes Flygon, and it switches in for the second time to Brick Break. Does about what it did last time. 32 up from 30, but Flygon will always survive another one, non-crit. Earthquake does not kill, and Brick Break does not crit. So the Flygon low, but alive, and that's more than can be said for the Hariyama, who succumbs to the sand. So now Coon comes in. It's still asleep from before, and in fact it has killed 0 sleep turns, so unless he's Crow Coon, which he is, and he finds the Surf. All right, Johnny gets bailed out there. 1 in 3 chance to find the Surf, but he finds it, kills the Flygon. Will it be enough to keep him in this game, though? Wow, Taunt Gar seems like a huge issue. Blissey's so low. Coon does not want to eat Thunderbolts. He takes 1 here. Can he find Crit Surf in his sleep? Can't find Surf at all. He finds a Calm Mind, which does not help him in this situation. So the question becomes, what is the last for Johnny? Because we know the Blissey will not beat Gengar here. The last is going to have to. And it's Mence. Okay. So it needs to either be EV'd to survive an Ice Punch, or he needs to play for a Will-O-Wisp Miss, which does not happen. And there's the DD. So the only way now for Johnny, it would have to be a Refresh Mence to get rid of that burn, and he would have to survive what we would think is an incoming Ice Punch. Seems like a tall order. He fishes for a crit there with Hidden Power, And it's actually Explosion, so if he had Refresh, which is like a total not a thing set, he actually would have been okay-ish there. But even then, at +1, he doesn't kill Bliss here without the aid of a crit or a Rock Slide flinch. And SoulWind wisely is not going to attack the Salamence, can't be bothered with that, is just going to heal up and let the Mence die to the burn. One more chance for a crit. Nope. And it would have been soft-boiled away anyway. No, he goes for Thunderwave, actually, just in case the other Blissey came in, which it didn't. So now it's Bliss on Bliss, and I don't know exactly how this ends. Go straight T-Tar here on a soft-boiled, sure. Johnny has shown only Wish and soft-boiled, but usually the last set on this Bliss is just it's just S-Toss and Ice Beam as the last two moves. Brick Break soft-boiled, sure. There's going to be a lot of soft-boileds necessary here. Not only might he run out of soft-boileds, but he's also just one crit away from the end of the game. This is a go-nowhere strategy. Johnny at some point is going to have to say fuck it and go for the one-turn Ice Beam freeze. That's all he can do. He will run out of soft-boileds or get crit eventually. There we go. I agree with the Ice Beam. It's the only way. It's the only thing you can do. He goes for the 1 in 10 freeze, which is right, but he doesn't get it, and with that, SoulWind is going to take game 1. Johnnyg2, fan favorite and consistent ADVer, back against the wall in the bubble match. Will he be our 4th place finisher going home with a great run but no money? Or can he rattle off 2 in a row against one of Pokemon's all-time greats in SoulWind, who I've already paid out in other tours that I've run? Here is game 2. Johnny must win this game and a 3rd game. And he's on the bottom again to SoulWind on the top again. T-Tar lead for both players, as it turns out. Back to Skarm, very standard. And to meta for SoulWind. Should be a decent opportunity to spike up here. Skarm on Skarm, sure. And there's lair number 1 for Johnny. Spikes lair number 2, no funny business just yet. Well, there's some funny business. It's going to be Thief, stealing the lefties from Johnny's Skarm. Spikes and Roar, respectively, so 2 and 1 lairs, and to the shock of no one, SoulWind has opted for Skarm Bliss yet again. T-Tar coming back in for Johnny, that was the lead poke, and it comes into an S-Toss. So what do we learn about the Tar? We learn that it has leftovers, okay? And it is physical or mixed, looking, I mean, that obviously has attack investment for doing that much, so probably only physical. 40% Rock Slide there. Puts Bliss in a weird spot. She's not going to be able to stay in. Here comes Meta. Does he switch it up to Earthquake? No, he does go for Rock Slide again. EQ there obviously would have done a lot more. Meta also has lefties. And in comes my Lotic for Johnny. Taking a Meteor Mash, no problem. With the resistance. Has to, of course, worry about Explosion, which is a trade that Meta often likes to take, but not prepared to take it right now as Starmie comes in. And it is Surf for an aggressive play from Johnny. A little bit of chip on the star. Could be good if it's an off star or some kind of non-recover variant. Does go for Rapid Spin, so spikes are gone. Johnny doesn't block it, but he does go for a Toxic, which it does not seem exciting, but I guess what can a Milotic do to a Starmie, really? Here comes Dugtrio, hoping for a recover, and that's what he gets. So is he going to stay in and go for EQ here and just get him between that and the poison? Is that the play? No, he's not willing to take the trade. I'm not sure why he went to Dugtrio if he wasn't willing to take that there. Maybe he was trying to catch the T-Tar or the Meta. Interesting. So Surf comes down on Bliss, little more toxic damage, but out of the way goes Starmie. Natural Cure getting rid of the status problem. And we've got some switching for both. We end up with Meta on Milo. The Milo being at about half here. Again, has to be careful of a potential explosion, but he's willing to risk it. And here comes Recover. And it's just Earthquake from SoulWind, 22%. Back to Skarm and Bliss respectively. So both of them opting for good old Skarm Bliss in this game. Blissy's low for SoulWind, and a spike reestablished for Johnny, though we of course now know definitively there is a spinner, and a recover spinner at that, on the other side. Here's Milo coming in on the one spike. Johnny has not shown his own spinner. Could be last poke doll, however, very common on this structure. S-toss on Milo is going to force a recover on the following turn, and gets it. And, ooh, the punishment could have been devastating. Sing there would be very poor for Milotic. Of course, what's also very poor is the accuracy of Sing. It's going to do a whole lot of missing, but had that connected, it would have very high upside there. Johnny decides that the thing that he wants to be put to sleep is the T-Tower, which is at about half right now. So after getting that sung to sleep, he doubles back to Blissey, which is also low. This is going to be an obvious soft-boiled turn for Johnny. See how SoulWind wants to respond to that. Perhaps he goes to his own Skarm to get layers, and that is going to be the play. So soft-boiled up to almost full, but in exchange, SoulWind goes to his Spiker. I do suspect it's last poke doll from Johnny, but he's yet to actually show that. And there is a Thunderbolt from... That's got to be modest. That might even be CM Bliss for Johnny to do that amount of damage. I mean, it could just be like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, S-Toss, or Toxic, and then Soft Boiled. That's also fine. But you need a win con on this team if you're Johnny, so I think it actually might be CM Bliss. It makes sense with the Dugtrio as well. There is T-Bolt. Okay. If it is CM Bliss, it's not going to get through the other Bliss very easily unless it is a non-toxic variant. And there is CM. Does SoulWind have Toxic, or is he really vulnerable to the CM Bliss? He's got Sing, so what are the odds that he has Toxic as well? Probably not very good, right? And Johnny attacks rather than CMing again, which I agree with, because he knows there's going to be a switch like this. Might as well get chip damage when you can, and you also fish for the added effect, which in this case would have been a para. Out of the way he goes to the last poke doll that I was expecting, and it's going to be 27% via Focus Punch here. So now, do you Earthquake or do you Rapid Spin if you're Johnny? He thinks it's Rapid Spin, but T-Tower stays in and gets him with HP Bug, which is pretty hefty. And that's kind of awkward now for Johnny, because if he goes to Milo, he risks a Focus Punch, but he's willing to take that chance, and SoulWind is not able to pull the trigger, and it's a crit as well. So had he crit Focus Punch there rather than HP Bug, it would actually be a dead Milotic. But like I said, SoulWind was not able to pull the trigger. A lot of switching here. Johnny gets the Dugtrio in on, I don't know what that was. I thought maybe the T-Tower would have gone for Focus Punch there on what seemed to be a fairly obvious recover turn. So I'm not clear what the Dugtrio was there. The Dugtrio would not have survived a Focus Punch had it come in on that. I'm not sure what he was trying to catch. That seemed like a weird time for Dugtrio for Johnny, but it didn't work out. Milo did get in and get recover off, which is worth more than nothing, but Starmie is also in and can also get recover off or just go for rapid spin, and it is going to be the latter. There is the rapid spin. Spikes are gone, so 1-0 lair advantage for SoulWind in what is still a 6-6 game here. No knockouts for either guy, but Johnny on the offensive again, fishing for added effects, and this time he gets one. He's going to get a 10% para on the Metagross here, which he'll obviously take. Here comes Skarm, and it will not attack through its paralysis. So up to Johnny here if he wants to spike up, or he wants to maybe let the Skarm die and then follow up with Dugtrio. Meteor Mash not only connects through imperfect accuracy and paralysis, but he also gets an attack raise. And it's going to be a second Meteor Mash that connects. But Johnny has seen enough and roars it out. It's going to prompt out Bliss. Remember that Skarm is playing the rest of this game without its leftovers. They got thiefed away by his counterpart. And there's a nice double back for SoulWind trying to get the T-Tower in. But he gets it on the Milo, which is probably not what he was intending. Here comes Bliss. And Milo's going to go for Surf. The Milo offensively is kind of dead weight in this matchup since it can't break through the Blissey Starmie combination. The only reason it does anything at all offensively is because he does have that one spike down. However, we know that SoulWind has the ability to remove that. So I think that the CM Bliss is going to be the key to victory for Johnny. Here comes Meta. And he continues to play aggressively. Thunderbolt again. Not huge damage on any of these. 22, 24, this time it's 26, whatever. But a little bit of chip as we go, and he again goes Skarm, because if something's going to get boomed on here, he wants it to be his Skarm that lost its lefties and isn't that damn exciting in the matchup, since there's a Starmie with Recover on the other side against a team that can't block a Rapid Spin. No Ghost for Johnny. The Skarm is not that damn exciting. The spikes are valuable while they're there, but overall, the Skarm is not long for this world. It's pretty low, and SoulWind hits another Meteor Mash through the imperfect accuracy and through the para. Last poke shown from SoulWind to also be Dugtrio, so they've rolled up with similar teams here. They both brought Skarm, Bliss, Tar, Dougie, Spinner, and then the difference, of course, being Milotic versus Metagross, but overall, the teams have a similar game plan in this game. Starmie kind of low. Opportunity here for Johnny. Does he get cute and go Doug? Recover and Roar? Sure. Don't let it Rapid Spin if he's going to recover. You have to pick one or the other. Fine. Dugtrio comes in again. Spikes damage adding up. Skarm on Skarm action now. And he doubles back just in case. I guess the Dugtrio could have stayed and gone Rock Slide there. It's really hard for the Dugtrio to stay in and go Earthquake there, but if he did, it would be an amazing play that would have killed the Blissey. But Johnny plays around that, and yeah, Earthquake doesn't happen. Gets the Bliss in, gets Recover off. T-Bolt, yet again, more aggro, giving himself chances to find crits or what have you, but he doesn't find it there. And the thing that gets roared out is Claydol, which also knows there's no spin blocker on the other side. SoulWind is going to have to let this happen. Yeah, no choice on the matter. There is Rapid Spin. Spikes are gone from beneath Johnny's team, but SoulWind is going to be able to do the exact same thing on his turn. And that's exactly what happens, to the shock of no one. So we go from 5 layers between them to no layers between them, as 2 big Rapid Spins get off in what is still a 6-6 game. More aggro and more chip. Bliss thunderbolting the meta here, who's down to the yellow. Claydol comes in, and that's going to eat a mash, barely. It goes down to 1%. SoulWind's been pretty good about hitting those mashes through the para. He doesn't go for EQ. He doubles back, and he gets outplayed here by SoulWind. The Skarm gets nailed by the mash, and there's an attack raise insult to injury. Earthquake there would have killed Metagross, but Johnny not able to pull the trigger. SoulWind with the flat-out outplay on that turn, and Johnny is in a world of hurt. His Skarm and his doll are both clinging to life. They are on the respirator, but one more gentle tap, and they are out of here. And as a reminder, Johnny, as you saw, did not win Game 1. He must win this game, and it's not looking great at this moment, but he must win this game and the next game, or he is going to be out after a great run in 4th place. And the meta continues to always hit its mashes through the damn para. Dugtrio comes in for the revenge kill after what was the first knockout of the game. Protect also through para, but it does not matter here. It'll just waste an extra PP or 2 of Dugtrio, but ultimately this revenge kill is going to happen. 50-50 protect fails, and there is the Earthquake. So we've got ourselves a 5-5. Skarm coming in for SoulWind with his stolen leftovers. Johnny no longer with the ability to Rapid Spin anything away. So Johnny takes this opportunity to get his very low Skarm in to do something with it before it inevitably succumbs. Spikes and spikes, 1 layer and 2. Faster Spiker seems to belong to SoulWind. Back to Bliss here. And spikes layer number 3. This is a pretty free Thunderbolt should he opt for that. He can also fish for a freeze if he feels like he needs it. And that's what he's going to go for. Ice Beam, no freeze, he's roared away. And that prompts out the Milo. We have seen the full move set here, so he knows he doesn't have to be afraid of Toxic. There's also no Drill Peck or anything to hit the other Scarm, so Johnny's Scarm can always come into SoulWind's Scarm for free, but he is just at 3%, so he would die to just about anything that actually hits him. Bliss comes in on spikes, and she's going to have to soft boiled up. Roar gets her out of here. And in comes Dugtrio, who has no way to heal off any spikes damage that it takes. Right now it's okay, but he can only do this so many times, and those spikes are not going anywhere. Rock Slide does find a flinch for Johnny. Sure, and Rock Slide again. No Rock Resist other than the other Dugtrio for SoulWind. But he decides that's good enough. Pending a flinch or a crit, Doug will revenge Doug. He does have an opportunity, like I said, for a flinch or a crit, but it doesn't come, and SoulWind does get the EQ off. No more mole for Johnny. So he goes once again to the very low Skarmory, 3%. Blissey comes in, and Blissey goes out, prompting out the T-Tower that I feel like we haven't seen in a while. It's a 4-4 game, but Johnny is not in a good place right now. What switches in on Focus Punch? Whole lot of nothing. He gets a spike on the way out for good measure, and down goes Skarm. Only 3 pokes between Johnny and elimination. Here is Milo. Can it handle Tar? The predictions are going to have to be spot on. Can he be perfect? He goes for the recover, and Starmie comes in. There is nothing, unfortunately, for Johnny preventing a recover or a rapid spin here and now. And that is the spin. There are going to be no spikes for the rest of the game for Johnny. He is going to have to find a way to win without them. And there's nothing he can do to prevent the recover either. This Calm Mind Bliss is going to have to go all the way for Johnny. And that is certainly going to involve getting some important critical hits, paras, freezes, whatever hacks he needs here. There's Ice Beam attempting the freeze that he doesn't find on his first go. Only so many switches into T-Tower at this point. Here's Milo coming in on spikes, and an Earthquake leaves Milo low yet again. One of these times, SoulWind's going to click Focus Punch on a recover turn. Is it now? It's Focus Punch on a Surf turn. What a good snipe there for Johnny. However, that leaves him between a rock and a hard place, because if he had recovered there, he'd hit the Focus Punch anyway, and if he surfs there, which he did, and kills the Tar, it opens him up to die to the Dugtrio, and I believe that's the ball game. I don't know that Blissey can survive here. I think a lot of the time it doesn't. It's CM Bliss. It has to be like bold and max defense and some HP investment to survive. Modest doesn't survive. That's dead, and certainly Weakened Sleeping Tar is also going to be dead to Earthquake. And that's it. That's the ball game. Crowd favorite Johnnyg2, one of the most humble players that everybody likes and everybody wants to work with. A lot of people cheering for him. Yet another very strong CALLOUS Invitational run this year. Top 6 this year, or last year, top 4 this year, 1 place short of the money, and he's got to be disappointed. I thought that both of these matchups were totally fair and winnable. SoulWind did not get cute or creative at all. This is exactly what Johnny would have spent his week anticipating and prepping against when preparing to play against SoulWind. There really weren't any surprises here. SoulWind played it by the book. But ultimately, I thought that even though the matchups were fine, this first one I think was actually really favorable for Johnny. But despite what I think were at least neutral, if not outright favorable matchups for Johnny, I think SoulWind simply played this set better. And ultimately what we want in Pokemon is for the better player, at least the better player within the set, to win. And I think that is what happened here. So, my consolation to Johnny, who I love and respect. Awesome guy, awesome player. Top 4 is really good, but obviously you want to make money. And of course, my congratulations to SoulWind, who after 6 years of playing this tour, he's played in all of them, has finally made some cash money in it. He's going to be somewhere in the top 3, and he is now going to play against the loser of H-Clat and Umbri, which has already happened. You guys should know the outcome of that, but if you don't, I'm about to spoil it. 3, 2, 1. H-Clat beat Umbri, therefore it's going to be SoulWind against Umbri in our 3rd place match next round. I hope you guys enjoyed this. The tournament is winding down and nearing its close. It's not too late to donate if you want to set the bar even higher for next year, but if not, that's fine too. Either way, hope you've been having a good time with this tour. I know that I have. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next battle, which is between SoulWind and Umbri for 3rd place.